A single video clip, then another, then a wave of comments spreading across every platform where silence no longer existed. In the footage, his relatives sat in a polished private hall, surrounded by guests who laughed politely, while casually dissecting Tian Xiwei's background as if her entire journey was nothing more than an entertaining flaw to be exposed. Humble origins, they called it, as though it were a stain, as though it erased everything she had become. And Zhang Linghe watched it all without blinking. The room he stood in felt smaller with every passing second, the air heavier, the light too sharp. His phone slipped slightly in his hand, but he did not move to catch it properly. He only replayed the moment again, hoping that context might soften what words had already carved into truth. It did not. Instead, each replay made it worse. Because what hurt most was not just what they said, but the laughter that followed it. The ease. The comfort. The confidence that no one would challenge them. They did not know he had already seen it. Or worse, they did know, and still chose to say it. Across the city, Tian Xiwei was filming a quiet scene on set, unaware that her name had become entertainment for people who had never earned the right to speak it. She stood under soft studio lights, delivering lines with calm precision, her expression steady, her presence composed in a way that made everyone assume she was untouched by chaos. But distance does not protect anyone from humiliation. And chaos has a strange way of finding those who refuse to bend. By the time Zhang Linghe arrived at the family estate, the sky had already begun to darken, as though even daylight wanted no part in what was coming. The gates opened slowly, almost reluctantly, like they sensed the shift in atmosphere. He did not announce himself. He did not need to. Inside, the household was still performing normality. Glasses clinked softly. Conversations moved in polite circles. Someone laughed at something trivial, unaware that the center of gravity had already changed. Zhang Linghe stepped into the main hall, and for a brief moment, no one noticed him. Then someone did. The laughter faded first. Not abruptly, but gradually, like a sound losing confidence in itself. Heads turned, eyes adjusted, recognition spread, and then discomfort followed. His mother was the first to speak, her tone carefully measured, the kind of calm people use when they believe control still belongs to them. "You should have called before coming." Zhang Linghe did not respond immediately. He looked around the room instead, as if confirming what he already knew. The same people from the video were present, the same smiles, the same careless posture of superiority. He finally spoke, and his voice was quiet. "What did you say about Tian Xiwei?" A pause stretched across the hall. It was not confusion that followed. It was calculation. The realization that something had reached him. One of his relatives attempted a light laugh, the kind meant to dissolve tension before it forms fully. It was just a discussion. Nothing serious. But Zhang Linghe's eyes lifted at that moment, and whatever fragile ease they hoped for disappeared instantly. Nothing serious. He repeated the words slowly, as if tasting their meaning for the first time. You turn a human being into a topic and called it nothing serious. Silence deepened. The air shifted again, tighter now, almost suffocating. The guests who had once felt comfortable in their opinions began to rearrange their expressions, searching for safer versions of themselves. His father finally stepped forward, attempting authority, attempting structure. "We were only stating facts about her background. There is no disrespect in honesty." That sentence. That was the one that broke something open. Zhang Linghe took a step forward, and the sound of it echoed more than it should have. "Facts," he said, slowly. "You mean the place she was born, the family she came from, the path she had to climb while people like you watched from comfort and called it entertainment." He stopped in front of a table. "Or, do you mean the way she never asked for any of your approval, yet somehow became strong enough that you felt the need to evaluate her like a product?" No one answered, because now the discussion no longer felt abstract. It had a face. It had weight. And it was standing right in front of them. A cousin tried again, softer this time, almost defensive. "You are reacting emotionally. We were not attacking her personally." That was when Zhang Linghe finally laughed. But there was nothing humorous in it. "If that was not personal," he said, "then tell me what is." He reached into his pocket and placed his phone on the table. The video began playing again, louder this time, filling the room with their own voices, their own laughter, their own words, preserved without mercy. No one interrupted it. No one could. When it ended, the silence that followed felt irreversible. Zhang Linghe looked at each of them carefully, not with rage, but with something far more unsettling.
Clarity.
She built her life in spaces you would never survive in, he said. And yet you sit here as if she should be grateful for your acknowledgement. His father tried one last time to regain control of the situation. She is not part of this family. That sentence hung in the air for half a second too long. And then Zhang Linghe responded, softly. Then neither am I, if this is what family means. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. But it landed with a force that no raised voice could match. For the first time, the room lost its structure completely. Chairs shifted. Someone stood, unsure whether to intervene or retreat. A glass was set down too quickly, spilling slightly unnoticed. Zhang Linghe turned away from the table and walked toward the doorway, but stopped just before leaving. Without looking back, he spoke again. If you ever speak of her like that again, do not expect silence from me. Not in private. Not in public. Not anywhere you feel safe enough to forget she is a person before anything else. Then he left. Outside, the night air felt colder than expected, but not unwelcome. It carried no judgment, no history, no inherited arrogance. Just space. Just distance. Just possibility. His phone vibrated once. A message. Tian Xiwei. Are you okay? He stared at the screen for a long moment before replying.
Not yet.
But I will fix this. Across the city, she had no idea what had just shifted in her name. No idea that something she never asked for had been confronted without her presence. No idea that someone had chosen discomfort over silence on her behalf. But change rarely announces itself to the person it protects first. It arrives through those willing to stand in the middle of tension and refuse to move. And in that night, everything inside Zhang Linghe's world had already begun to rearrange itself around a single truth. Respect was not something to be negotiated. Not anymore.